So I am back. I've just got to wait for a few people to come in now because this is the third, or well, I've forgotten how many times it is now. So I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying around. And that's the stubborn streak, I guess. So, first of all, how are you all? I hope you're well. I hope you're staying well. You have to find this stuff funny, right? I hope you're well. I hope you're staying well. I hope that your week has been exactly what you wanted it to be, and I hope your weekend is turning into what you want it to become. So, first of all, no feedback. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Donna. Yes, bearing with it. So, yeah, no feedback, which is good. Can you hear me okay? Is the sound quality alright? That's all good. Okay. So, I've forgotten what I was going to talk about now. No, I haven't. I'm joking. How are you? Let me know how you are. It's really important that, for me, that's really important. That's probably the most important thing, to say hello and to see how you are and see how you're doing. See what's been going on in your week. And if you have any questions, or if you have anything you want to say, please feel free to put it onto the chat. I will see it. There is a slight delay, but I will see it. So and then we'll discuss whatever you want to discuss as well. But there's also something. So the title came to me, When Love and Hate Collide, and that's actually quite a profound thing. I was drawn to listening to a song. I don't know if you know the 80s song by Def Leppard, When Love and Hate Collide. And I don't know if it wasn't so much the lyrics, it was just that last part of the chorus, just the last line there, when love and hate collide. And then suddenly, whoosh, I had this big download of information. And it's quite important, I feel, that this gets shared, because I know this isn't just for me. I think this is for all of us, so that we can stay in a state of neutrality when it comes to love and hate. I never use that word, by the way. I've literally excluded that from my dictionary. I don't use it. But when something like this comes in, I know it's not my my language, if you like. But I understand from reading through. I really understood what that channeling was actually saying, and how it's actually there to help us. So yeah, it's all good, and no Daleks. That's good. It's crazy, right? I mean, what was happening there? Santis has started. Oh right, so Santis is a little yellow canary. Just to share this really quickly, because you can't make this up, right? So Santos is a little yellow canary. He runs free in the house, right? Not in my house, but in my friend Donna's house. And he flies all over the place. And one day she opened her patio doors and he flew out and he was gone. And she, obviously being heartbroken, that was her little friend, you know, they built a relationship together, and thought she was never going to get him back. And somebody said, I think I've got your canary. So she managed to get him back, right? The second time happened not so long ago. He flew out again and he was gone. And she said, that's definitely it this time. You know, it's cold as well. And she put a couple of messages up on Facebook, not expecting to get anything. And somebody says, I think we've got your canary in our house. And so she got him back twice. What are the odds of that? If that's not a beautiful story, and actually a test of destiny there, right? And a test of faith. Wow. You know, so yeah, I hope you don't mind me sharing that story, Donna. It was worth sharing. So yeah, never use hate as a word. It ricochets and sticks onto anything negative throughout anything you've learned in your entire life. It's just such a low vibrational word. But like I said, when I'm using it in this, it's because this doesn't come from me. You know, there's let's say other forces at work that bring that in. So, but the first thing I wanted to talk about before I go into the channeled writing is people moving in and out of our lives. We're going through a really weird time right now, and people are going in and out of our lives all of the time. Yeah, more so now I think than any time in the past in history, because the decisions people are making are so black and white. There is no down the middle. There's literally either you are having something or you're not having something. You are wearing something, you're not wearing something. And in the middle of that becomes the battleground, if you like, where emotions rise and we get what we're getting today, and division happens. And so we have to understand, like, when people are leaving our lives, and we see this as, you know, a big thing, and it is a big thing. There's reasons why it's a big thing, and when we actually understand the psychology behind of why we feel the way we do when people move in and out of our lives, and we're trying to resist them moving out, or they're trying to resist us moving away from them, whichever camp you live in, we tend to think that we tend to think we've lost them because we gain this attachment. We gain an attachment to people, an emotional attachment, because they are physical beings and we've had lots of interactions with them in the past. And some not good, but probably most good, right? And so when people decide to kind of make the decisions that you would never have thought these people would make a decision on either side, it becomes a real challenge. And so people decide, right, I've had enough and I'm moving. And we say, what have I done wrong? We tend to kind of think, what have we done wrong in order for that to happen? And the truth is, we've not done anything wrong. Or that we sometimes feel that we're failing somehow. Somehow we failed. That relationship isn't working now, and they've been my friends all my life, or they've been my family all my life, and now they don't want anything to do with me. And we feel like there's a feeling of failure on our part. But it's not true. That's not true either. What's really happening is just simply energy dividing. You have to understand the way that we work as human beings, and actually all living things. But as human beings, we have this thing called attachment, but we're all vibrating at a resonance. We know this. In science, it takes us down to the molecule and atomic level, and we can see that things are vibrating and connecting together. And they do that through something called attraction, or another word would be magnetism. And when we attract things in, so as much as we attract the molecules to become what we have here as the end of our fingers, we also attract with our thoughts, experiences. And depending on where we are on that vibration and how fast we're vibrating and emitting the frequency out, the vibration out, depends on what we're aligned with at the time. Which is why you're probably not aligned with many brain surgeons, because you're just not in that field of thought. You're not vibrating at that kind of frequency, and you're also probably not aligned with, or not in communication with, too many mass murderers, because you're just not aligned and just not in that vibrational frequency. Both massive ends of the spectrum there, but it says that something happens with our thought and how we feel, which actually changes the experiences that we have. And so all that's happening is energy is falling and energy is rising. That's all essentially that's happening. We're moving into and out of experiences. We're moving into and out of relationships. We're moving into and out of everything that we experience. It's coming in, it's going out. They're not in our lives all the time anyway, because when you go to sleep, or when you go to bed, or when you have 10 minutes to yourself, those people aren't in your lives all the time. They kind of pop in when their awareness is there, or their awareness is to us, and suddenly, oh, hi, how you doing? And then we're off the phone again. So it was a phone call, we're off the phone again, and until the next time. But they're not in your lives all the time, but we get used. We're very habitual. beings, and so we get used to that and we get attached to that. And then when that changes, that's one of the worst things, because one of the basic human needs that we have is certainty. And if there's no certainty around our family and loved ones, the people that are there for us or there to support us, or we're there to support them, when that disappears, it becomes very uncomfortable because it becomes very uncertain. And that's why we suffer the way we do when we lose things. Even when I lost my dog Charlie, that I shared with you, and I had an emotional attachment, a physical attachment to him. It was a physical thing, and and I was absolutely, even though I get all this life after death, there was a lesson to be learned, which I'll come to near the end. So yeah, the thing we have to remember, though, beyond all this, is that people are making their own choices just the same as you are. There's no judgment needed for that. No one's killing someone, okay? Everyone's making their choices just the same as you are. And depending on their experiences, the things that are impressed upon them the most by the senses, okay, and also through words. There's three ways that we interpret words. There's three ways we use words, okay? And that doesn't matter which country you're from, and who wears this or that, and who has this or that. It comes down to three ways that we use words. The three ways that we use words are verbal thought. Okay, so that's the word thought. We think with words as well, okay? The next one is verbal audible. So that's sound, verbal audible. You're hearing sound right now. This is verbal audible. And then, and the thought is what you're thinking as you're hearing this. And then the third one is verbal written. That's the written word. And so that's the three ways that we understand words. And words are key to all of this, because you're hearing a lot of words going on in the world, and the words are either telling you to do this or not do that. And it's almost like you haven't got a choice. It's almost like, well, that's wrong, so I must do this. Or that's right, so I must do this. And it doesn't mean that, it means you get a choice. You're always in the position, ultimately, to be making choices. And whatever choice you choose is okay. And on the same note, whatever choice anybody else chooses is okay. It's okay to make your choice. Right? And it's okay for people to move in and out of our lives. It doesn't mean that we've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that we're failing in any way. And it doesn't mean they're failing in any way. They're choosing their destiny. And that's every human being's right to choose their destiny. In fact, it's every living thing's right to choose its destiny. But we'll stick with humans today. So everyone is doing the best they can do at the time. If they could do better, they would. That's such a true statement. Everyone is doing the best they can do at the time. If they could do better, they would have. There's not a single person on this planet who, in the moment that they're in, can do any better than they're doing. Otherwise they would. There's not a single one. Not a single person. If you disagree with that, please let me know in the chat. I'd love to have a discussion. This is partly what this is about as well. Let's have a talk. Let's have a discussion. So yeah, the channeled writing that I got was quite powerful, and so me not being the most fluid of readers, I would do my best to present it to you. And again, this is one of my uncomfortable moments where I'm like, I've got to read, but who cares, right? We're all family. So here it is. So the moment when love and hate collide is when you believe someone should be killed or punished for what they believed to be right, in the knowing that you are asking for the very same thing that you have been fighting against all this time. But all that really happens is that you now become as low vibrational as them, but this time you are doing it because you think the decision is right and for the right reasons. Because you get caught up in the complexity of emotion and the density of physical life that you become completely absorbed into playing the role of judge, jury, and executioner, because ultimately you're seeking justice. And so you give them what they gave others, including yourself. But justice runs a very fine line between justice and your very own form of tyranny. So as we say for peace, or else this will happen to you, but that is practicing the very same methodology as the ones that you are trying to remove, only on a more extreme polarity of control. This is not in the name of love and peace. It is in the name of sacrilege and vengeance. While contradictive and hypocritical, it is also understandable. Because at the same time, you are caring and compassionate beings, and you do not want to see anyone else get hurt, except for the ones, of course, that are doing the hurting. So you become angry and you feel justice can only be truly served at our hand or at the hand of someone else whom you have appointed, the executioner, to carry out the deed. It is not truly hate that you feel, it is hurt. And so it is this point, and which is important to understand, that it is not when love and hate collide, but rather when love and hurt collide. The question is, if you were given a knife and you had a choice to slit this person's throat, would you do it? If the answer is a resounding yes, we would beg to differ that when presented with the knife in that moment of truth. And if you were still able to do it, then it would imply that you cannot be trusted, because if things are not done your way, you are willing to kill in order to create it anyway. Even though you may feel completely justified in your actions, this makes you just as dangerous as the very thing you are fighting against, and so it cannot possibly create the kind of world that you want to live in, but rather quite the opposite. Death or punishment is not the answer. Simple removal of wealth and power, yes. To live on a basic income, the same as the minimum will allow for humane, same as the minimum will humanely allow, yes. But not by doing it as a punishment, because they are not serving humanity for the higher good, even if they think they are. The way you rise into the higher aspects of consciousness and transition your timeline to one of great peace is to teach the fundamentals of life, growing food, sending love, connecting with nature, and so on, and to practice what you teach. Miracles always meet you where you are at, whether you are loving the high life or the low life, but it takes a certain level of awareness to see the opportunity. And then to extend on that, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but basically it's like you can't say, let's say particular individuals in the world today who we may have a great dislike for and not resonating with them, even those people don't deserve death, because you achieve nothing by it. If you remember Star Wars, now I'm not a Star Wars fan, as in I love Star Wars, but I'm not fixated on it. But there are some really important things in there, and if you get to understand the psychology behind how Star Wars was created, you kind of understand a little bit more about what the messages that we're trying to share. And it was shown with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, and Obi said, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. And that's so true. When you do that, you create something else takes over, because it does. Killing people is not the answer. Execution is not the answer. It's not the way to show love and compassion. You don't show love and compassion to the world by killing all those. You start running out of people. All right. So, we have to show what love and compassion means, and that's through education. And actually, the worst punishment anyway you could give someone that's low vibrational is love and forgiveness. Trust me, that would not vibrate with them at all. Love and forgiveness. You offer them that, it literally disperses everything. But they'll fight that. But you know, that's the way to do it. I know it sounds hairy fairy. I know it sounds woo woo. But there's a lot of energy when it comes to expressing love. There's a lot of energy that comes out. We know that love contains an energy, and that, you know, we can never even know the full expansion of love. We can never know what love truly feels like. We get an example of it because it has to filter through all of our systems so that we can express just a tiny touch of love. But you can imagine what the whole entirety of love feels like. You know, it's huge. There is, and that's why they say there is no force more powerful than love, because, you know, we're only getting a condensed version of it. We know what love feels like just in that condensed version alone. And there's another thing as well, and I call it the asshole scenario, right? And let's just say before we came here, everyone made an agreement that you've got your heroes and your assholes. And let's say one particular guy said, or one particular spirit said to the other one, okay, well, this time it's my turn to be the asshole. And everyone just looks and says, oh my God, that is so brave, because we know that the only way that we can grow and tune into the heart and tune into love and the higher aspects of frequency and emotion and vibration is for someone to be an asshole, to remind us what that feels like to move into something better. But in order to get that, someone has to be the asshole. And this guy says, well, I'm stepping up. I'm being the asshole for you guys. And you say, wow, that's a brave move, because you know that, and everyone knows, that this guy is going to be ridiculed. This guy is going to be the worst thing since sliced bread, because of the way he has to be the asshole. And it's the only way that we can really step into a knowing of what we really want and who we really are. And that's stepping into that knowingness of love on a much higher aspect. And so this asshole comes down and starts to play around with our emotions and starts to play around with us as beings. And all along, he knows he's the asshole, but we've forgotten that he's the asshole. We haven't forgotten he's the asshole. We've forgotten that this was the thing. This is the decision that person made to come here so that we could step into something much better. And that person was willing to do that. And if we just looked at life on that perspective instead, you know, a lot of that resistance and a lot of that energy built up just seems to kind of dissipate if we understand that maybe someone chose to come in to be the asshole because it's the only way we were going to learn to step into the higher aspects. How is that for a thought? What do you think about that? Have we got any questions? Anybody got any questions? So yeah, it's not about, you know, it's making choices. Understand that people are moving in and out of our lives all the time. They're never in our lives all the time anyway. If you count every minute in a day, you'll find that they're very rarely in it anyway. But it's only because we have that attachment. We say, why are you moving from my life? Why are you leaving? And most of the time, the ones that don't want to leave is because they're afraid. They're afraid that what would their life look like without you in it? And vice versa, what would your life look like without them in it? Scary thought. Let's have a look. Got some questions. Okay, what's the book, Kim? Let us know what the book is that you're reading. Where does my channeling come from? Interesting question. So I didn't know where it was coming from at one point, so I didn't know whether to trust it. All right, this is going back a while ago, and I I sat down one day and just literally opened my mind. It was after an experience that I had with something called ayahuasca. If you've heard of that before, it definitely does wake you up. And so I had this, and then it was a week or two later that I did a channeled writing. And within that channeled writing, they gave the name the Clarions of Time. It was a whole thing, and it said, and we are the Clarions of Time. I was like, what was that? You know, my fingers just type. I don't really think about anything that's going on. In fact, I'm having separate thoughts up there. So this stuff's kind of just going through. And I thought to myself, well, that's weird. So I went to Google, what are the Clarions of Time? Nothing came up. So I thought, what is a clarion? And all I got was the Clarion Band. I thought it was definitely not them. I'm sure I'm not tuning into them. And so I've googled what is a clarion, right? And after a bit of searching, after getting rid of the bands, I found one thing, and it said a clarion is a trumpet used in Roman times, and it's used for an important call. It's used for an important announcement. That was it. It's used for important announcements. And I thought, oh my gosh, right, I get it. Even though, and in the channeled writing it says, even though we know time doesn't exist in the way that you see it, this is way before I learned anything like this stuff, you know. But they said, even though we know time doesn't exist the way that you see it, we are the Clarions of Time. And so for me, it's that voice of important announcements. Announcements need to be made, you know, and people are stepping up, and I'm not the only one, I'm sure, doing, well, I know I'm not the only one doing this work, but whether people are tuning into the same thing or not, no idea. I saw a book afterwards, and I had to buy it because I was just intrigued, and I've never read it, which I found really interesting. And it was called The Clarion Call. Never heard of that in my life before. But I thought, well, I've got this thing from the Clarions of Time. Maybe this is to do with the Clarion Call. I don't know. Maybe it's the same bunch of people, same entities or what have you. But I've never read the book, so I can't tell you. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense as to where the channeling comes from. It's definitely an opening. I feel there's something much bigger. There is definitely a presence much bigger. I can't explain it. It takes up a lot of space. You know, this thing, whatever it is, it's huge. You know, but I don't think it's that by itself. I think there's other aspects that kind of come off of that. I've channeled things that can come through as very very legal as well. Like suddenly I get into this, and I can write a legal letter, and I'm like, that's really weird. Let's have a look. Other questions. Unlock the Secrets of Your Soul and Build a Better Life by Kim O'Neill. Ah, interesting. Thanks, Kim. Devlin, yeah, you're right. So when it comes to DMT, which means it's short for dimethyltryptamine, and basically it's a chemical that's produced by the brain. When we're born, we're flooded with DMT, and when we die, the brain gets just before death, the brain gets flooded with DMT as well, and during sleep. So when we sleep, the images that we're seeing is because of the release of DMT into the system, And so the ayahuasca is a native South American brew, as they call it, and it just releases lots of DMT into the body, to where you have experiences. Let's say it's not for the faint-hearted for sure, and you have to be very careful about doing it. You know, there's certain protocols that you have to take for safety, but it's wow, yeah. You also get it actually in LSD. Not I've done LSD, not like that. I tried it once when I was young. We were just jumping hay bales, and the moon was really big, but that was it. Nothing major. But other people say you have these amazing journeys, but the experience between LSD and ayahuasca is very different in the sense of how you're interacting with what's going on in the brain. Definitely. Does any of what I've said make any sense? Is there anything you want to know? Anything you want to know? Put me on the spot. Try it. I have no idea either. Let's just see what comes through. You've done LCD, yeah, well... LCD is a little different. It's more crystal. LSD, yeah. I never got, like I said, I did it once and just didn't get anything from that. I was very young. Yeah. Any questions? Come on, ask me anything you like. Anything. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you some questions. So I'm going to ask you some questions. How do you feel right now? Just type in the chat bar. Just type how you feel right now. Donna. Oh, well, unfortunately you can't do them in this country. They won't let you do it because it's mind altering. Alcohol's safe though, apparently, even though that's mind altering. But they won't let you do that because it's mind altering. Devlin, have you had a clairvoyant experience? Yes, and I've also been having some huge psychic jumps, leaps, being able to describe things about people's lives I couldn't possibly know. There's no way I have that information. Some of it's very personal to people. And I get that if I'm doing EFT, because that's my primary thing, what I do a lot of tapping with people. And when we work there, sometimes I get the something will pop in and I'm like, I have to say this to you. And it's quite surprising how many times, in fact, there's only one time it's not been accurate, but I don't know if that's true. It's not been accurate. It's just how it happens sometimes is we don't remember it ourselves, so we say it's not true. Yeah. There's a lot happening. So let me just explain that a little bit then. There's a lot happening at the moment when it comes to this alignment. So as we raise in our vibration and raise in this frequency, as everything starts to unfold as it's doing right now, we become more highly attuned. Yeah, and it's not that it's a new thing. We're just remembering something that we lost a long, long time ago. And so it's just being reactivated. And we become some people that were never aware are suddenly becoming aware. Some people who were able to help others are suddenly launching into doing massive projects. Some people that were maybe wanting to do a little bit of psychic work or mediumship or what have you, suddenly are launched into that, and they're on fire, doing it. Some people wanted to learn to channel, and suddenly whoosh, they get this massive inload of it. This is all signs showing that we're elevating, we're increasing on our ascension, if you like, on our transition into what we're going to become as beings. Not so much caught in the density of what we've been through for the past 2,000 at least years. It's consciousness rising, literally. And as we do that, we become more in alignment with things, and we understand things a little bit better. And I feel that it doesn't matter which side of the fence you stand on, whether it comes to I'm going to have this or not have that, or I'm going to wear this or not wear that. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you stand on. Your ultimate thing is in your heart. The ultimate thing is how you feel. And the ones that want to have, want to wear something and want to have something, is because they want to make sure that they're safe and they want to keep other people safe. I get that. And the ones that don't say, that's not safe for me and it won't keep me safe. I get that. Do you see that? Ultimately, we come into our heart space and, we decide ultimately, but we've got to come out of here. That's the primary key to it. We've got to come out of here. Don't just go by what we read and everything else, because the brain is a very easy thing to manipulate. Okay, it's a very easy thing to get people thinking certain things and behaving certain ways, which is why you get all these uprisings and saying you have to fight for peace, and it is not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. I guarantee if you killed Hitler when he was a baby, there would have been another Hitler to take his place. Because it was going to happen that way, one way or another. Is there another way to reach that space other than DMT? Yes. And I'm going to be talking to someone soon. I'm setting up a interview with them as we speak, actually. I'm just waiting for him to come back from India. So breathing, breath work. Wow. Amazing. There's another thing that I do, and that's with the crystal singing bowls. And again, we're talking frequency, and we're talking a specific frequency of 432 hertz, the tuning of, which is the tuning of Earth and of nature. And so, through different frequencies and through different ways of breathing, you can induce more DMT into the body. Absolutely, yeah. Donna says, don't mess with their alcohol. Yeah. So, Sue, you're feeling drained. All right. Would you like me to give you an explanation of why you're feeling drained? And everyone gets this, by the way, at times, and we just have to become aware of it and then step back into it. For the most part, there is something else happening, which is taking energy, is taking people's energy, making people feel drained. Anyway, one, because there's a lot going on in the world. That's a lot of energy. There's a lot of fear energy. Can leave people feeling a bit drained. The planet itself is going through its own changes right now with the Schumann resonance. Just look at what's happening there. There's fluctuations, huge fluctuations there. Well, the brain is, it responds to electromagnetic pulses. So if that's changing on the planet, what do you think is going to happen to the brain? There's going to be changes happening there. But one of the best ways to deal with people that are let's say, kind of around you, right? So to deal with people around you, and how they're expressing their energy, and what makes you feel drained, or if you're working with people and what makes you feel drained, is because you're not aware of your own energy. You might think you're aware of your own energy, but you're not aware of how to use your own energy, and how not to use your own energy. So the way I look at it is, when we hold our arms out like this, okay, it doesn't matter how much land you've got. If you've got 33 million acres of farmland, which why you'd want that much, I don't know, but 33 million acres, which is a thing, by the way, research that. So this is all the space you have to move into. This is it. This is all you're entitled to. This whole time you're here having this experience, this is yours. Nothing has rights to come within this without your permission. I feel what happens is, what a lot of people do is they put up protection. We've heard about these protections, protect. But actually, when we're protecting, what we're doing is we're pushing out, and we're creating resistance to whatever wants to come in. So if you're pushing out and now you're creating resistance, now the senses are saying, it's a dangerous world out there. It's a dangerous world out there. Anything outside of this is dangerous. I need to put protection up. Keep putting up. Keep putting up. Keep filling the blocks. And that is not productive, because that'll take a lot of your energy to be doing that. What I feel is understanding that this is your energy. See it as this beautiful white ball of light. Okay, high vibrational, high frequency light. And that if you think about it, because we know that like energy attracts like energy. So if you're putting out a frequency of white light just around your body, and it's not protection, it's just your energy of what you're moving into and out of every moment of every day, but realizing it's here, not here. So expanding it, and you can expand your energy. So you realize that this is yours, and there's no protection needed, because you know that anything that's not likened to that energy cannot come in. It simply cannot come in. And if you're using your energy, so you get a lot of psychics and mediums saying it's drained my body, it's drained me. I honestly feel that it's because they're using their energy, right? They're using their energy. They're not using the universal energy, and the universal energy is there, and it's coming to and through you all the time anyway. But we focus it in coming through the body, and it doesn't need to. It can come universally, straight through you, and each time you get topped up and topped up and topped up. Is why I can stand up for 3 hours talking and not feel it, because I'm not using my energy. I'm allowing that energy to come to and through me. It's not my energy I'm using. And I've been in a position from something similar, and these things that come in never leave you drained or tired or in pain. They never do that. They shouldn't do that, because it would leave you as it found you, if not in better condition actually, because there'd be natural healing that comes through as well. But it depends on whether you're looking at the higher or lower aspects of consciousness. So understanding your energy, it's yours. No one can take this from you. They can try and charge you tax on it, but they can't. They can't tax you this. This is yours. Doesn't matter where you go in the world, this goes with you. And you move into it and out of it. When I say into and out of it, you never leave it. You move from one state, one part to the next part. It's always with you. Wim Hof, yes. Wim Hof. We've done the ice bath challenge. We've done that. Oh my gosh. That is an experience. That's an experience. You have to get into a mindset for it. And I saw a few people struggle in there. I saw a few people not struggle so much. I was quite I went in 3 times in the end. I thought, I need to do it again. Yeah, Wim Hof, that releases DMT definitely. But again, Sue, you're talking about breathing as well, so that it's the breathing. You see what he's doing, and Wim Hof, like that breathing technique Wim Hof uses, is not something he's developed. He's taken that from other areas and just reinvented it again, rediscovered it, and kind of branded it out there again for people. But that's been out there for a long time, that type of breathing. You're welcome, Devlin. Yeah. I'm looking at both higher and lower vibration. Do you know, it's the only way we get to know, is if we actually explore and question. That's the only way we truly get to know. If we just go by what we're told, we don't have to go at certain places. We know what we're talking about here, right? If you just go by what you're told, then that is almost like setting yourself up, and you say, well, unless you've done your research on both sides, and you have to look at both sides of everything, it's the only way you can come to your conclusion, that actually you can say, well, I have a valid opinion now because I've done my research on both aspects. I've looked at both sides. I see both sides. So it's important that we look at higher and lower vibration, that being one of them, because if we don't, we just become blindsided. And so I always ask people this question. Let me ask you this question. If you could never be wrong, would you always be right? If you could never be wrong, would you always be right? First answer. The answer is no. Because how would you know what right feels like? How would you know what it's like to be right if you were never wrong? We have to have the two aspects. We have to have the right and the wrong in order to know. Otherwise, we could be killing people and going, yeah, well, it's all for the higher good. So what's happening actually in the world? People want to kill particular people. All for the higher good. Let's kill them. Let's slaughter them. Really? That's your answer? Just bide your time, because another one will come along. It's not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. If we've learned anything from the past right now, that's something we should really take into consideration. Killing these people doesn't work. There's other ways to work with that, but killing them isn't going to work. It just creates space for another one to come up. It's about education, teaching, and practice what you teach. I like that. Practice what you teach, not practice what you preach. Yeah, we have to explore both sides. Otherwise, we get pulled into one, think we're doing a good thing, and actually it's a terrible thing. Yeah. It doesn't matter who it is. No one deserves death like that. It's not... I know there'll be a lot of resistance to that. I know a lot of people will say that's not true. I disagree. You don't know. Perhaps I don't know. I just know how I feel. And I know how unproductive it would be, ultimately. Would you get them out of the way? Yeah. Till the next one. Until we start rising in our consciousness, until we start rising in actually, what do I really want? And how's the best way to get that? What's a productive way to get it? That's when we change things. That's when we rise in consciousness. Could you say, right, just everyone stop the killing, just stop for a moment. Let's just think about this. What happens is we keep killing people, And then another wave comes up and we kill them. And another wave comes up and we kill them. Are you seeing a pattern here? Maybe it's not about waiting for them to get there so you can kill them. Maybe it's about educating them to the point, you know, and that comes down to our education system and lots of other aspects, and actually us taking accountability as adults, you know, of our actions with our children and our interactions with our children, and teaching them heart-based decisions, not head-based. Do we have any more questions? By the way, if you're wondering, my memory is shockingly rubbish. I get that a lot. How can you remember so much knowledge? It's like, I really don't remember it. If I try to remember it, I screw it up. It's about getting in the flow, and you can all do that. You do it anyway. You do it even if you don't know you do it. There are times you get in that flow. Miracles are waiting to meet us. They're there for us in every place we're at, whether we're living the high life or the low life. It's up to us to recognize the miracle. And more importantly, it was the only way that miracle could communicate with us. It was the only place it could meet us at, because we weren't there to receive it. It's the only place, and it came down to meet us there. So, just spend a moment just looking at the screen. And just connect. Just connect and just feel that wave of love that's coming to you from me right now, as I feel that love that comes from you to me. And it's because of that love that keeps us moving more along every moment. It keeps us in that flow. It keeps us growing and wanting to learn, and actually wanting peace on this planet. And it can only come when we are in moments like this now, where true unity can be formed. That we can be realigned again, so that we can realize that we're really not much different from one another. And that all but a few people, just a few, want peace and harmony on this planet. And it begins with me, and it begins with you, of how we choose to emit our energy to one another. Knowing that the moment you choose the same fate as what somebody has in store for you, you've lost. You've become like them. Choose the higher path. Choose the higher thought. What would a massively enlightened being do in situations like this? And bring in that energy of such a being into your own physical body, into your own mind, into your own heart. and you'll get the answer. And then from this moment, once you have that answer, there's never a good enough reason to choose anything other than that of the higher aspect, if that's what you're aiming for. Choose love, not war. We are not at war with one another. We're making choices, and it's okay. Support people who choose not to, and support people who choose to. It's okay, they're choosing their path, same as you're choosing yours. And if you focus on that, and you focus on what a beautiful world you can bring into manifestation just by keeping your thoughts there, not only will you feel more relaxed and more calm and at peace with your own mind, but you will be emitting that out to the entire planet, to all life, and most importantly right now to all life of humanity. I love you, I love you, I love you. Whatever you choose, I love you anyway. Whatever you choose, I love you anyway. Whatever you choose, I love you anyway. Keep shining brightly as the beautiful soul that you are. Live with joy, live with faith in your heart, and live with the feeling of happiness always. Namaste. I'll catch you again soon, very, very soon. And I'll do that meditation that I keep threatening you with. We'll do the meditation that I keep promising. Take care and have a lovely rest of your weekend, stepping into the higher you. Lots of love to you.